We're back, Dave. We're back. Technical difficulties can't keep us down. We are
It
back in the
it
building.
that's all right. It happens. No worries. We got this. We got this. So we got one half, first half under the in the books. So we had our first six. Now we're gonna go to the next six, Mike. So let's get this train rolling again, baby. So next game, SEC game, LSU at South Carolina. LSU's getting 7 here. Over under is 50.5. So LSU's 1-1, close loss to USC on the West Coast, right? University of Southern California. They lost to them in a close game. They beat Nicholls State last week, but they didn't cover. South Carolina is 2-0 with wins over Kentucky and Old Dominion we talked about earlier, but only by like a touchdown. They did not cover against Old Dominion. So for
Are you
LSU,
talking? Wait, wait, wait.
Nussmeier,
What game are you
what
talking? You talking LSU, South Carolina?
LSU, South Carolina.
Oh, we're on Georgia, Kentucky. We're on. Back it up. Back
I'm
it up.
talking.
One. Back it up.
Oh snap! We didn't cover that one.
Nah, that's when we lost connection. That's why we got to back it up.
Okay. Well, goodness gracious, Georgia, South Carolina. Georgia's at.
Oh yeah, keep. Oh shit, just keep going at LSU, South Carolina. We'll bounce back. We'll bounce back to Georgia, Kentucky. Keep going.
All right, all right.
Keep
So
going.
as I was saying, Nussmeier, 75% on the year so far, which is pretty damn good. 610 yards, 8 TDs, and an interception. The big negative for LSU is John Emery is out as running back. So they got Josh Williams. He's only got 52 yards so far, averaging 4 yards a carry. So they got to figure out their running game real quick. South Carolina's got Lenoris Sellers, redshirt freshman at QB. He's only at 55%, Mike, after 2 games, 272 yards, 2 TDs, and interceptions. So kind of put that together when you're really thinking about things here. Leading rusher, Rocket Sanders, only 142 yards in 2 games. I guess that's pretty decent, but he's only 3.5 yards a carry. So if you look at those South Carolina stats, you're going, what the hell, right? Passing game for LSU's look pretty good, but without Emory, it's going to be an issue on the running game, I think. And their defense, you know, they haven't done very well in the last couple of years, which is so ironic for an LSU defense. The key to the Gamecocks winning is to slow the game down and run the ball. One interesting statistic in their last 5 games, Mike, I went back and I looked. Their last 5 games, they've beaten Kentucky twice in their last 5 games. That's freaking crazy. Beating the same team twice in the last 5 games. And they've only given up 10 points per game in those 5 games. So that defense is looking pretty good for South Carolina. But hold the phone. My gut tells me if Nussmeier is able to stay cool, move the ball down the field and not get stopped, I think they're going to beat South Carolina. I just don't have it to say South Carolina is going to win this one. So I'll take them 7 points or LSU to cover the 7 points. So what do you think?
This one I went back and forth with. I had a tough time doing it. It was tough. So for me, LSU cannot run the football. They just can't. For whatever reason, they can't run the football. As long as South Carolina can slow down Kyron Lacey, it's the one weapon LSU has on the outside. Nussmeier has been consistent. He's looked good, but he's looked good in a big part because of Kyron Lacey on the outside. He had 3 touchdowns last game. Dude's an absolute stud. If you watch the game against USC, the Trojans on the other side of the country, I mean, on the first drive, I think he had like 4 or 5 catches of that. You know, like they can feed this man. He's one of those guys. South Carolina's got to shut him down. The good news for South Carolina is they've played good defense this year. They've played great special teams this year. The son of Frank Beamer, Beamer ball at Virginia Tech, big on special teams, big on everybody doing the right thing, stepping up, playing their role. I think South Carolina has a chance to win this one outright. I'm just not very confident on it. So give me the under 50.5 here. I think LSU is going to be able to slow down South Carolina on the defensive side for LSU, offensive side for South Carolina. South Carolina's offense is only averaging just under 300 total yards per game right now. And like you mentioned, those opponents were Old Dominion and Kentucky. So I think that they're going to struggle a little bit against this LSU defense. So I'm going to go the under here, Dave.
I like the call, Mike. I really do. I love the call under 50 points. That's awesome. Awesome. Um, so maybe we both win this one, buddy. So on that Georgia Kentucky game, Mike, I got through mine, but we're to you. My call was the over 45.5 as I went through my numbers. So I think we
Okay.
go back to Georgia. I picked the over 45.5, and I gave why. I think it's your turn to talk about your prediction on the Georgia Kentucky game at
Okay.
minus
What?
4 for Georgia.
Yeah, I'll keep it. I'll keep it short too. So Kentucky, just a couple of numbers for people to consider. Kentucky is 4-1 against the spread versus Georgia in their last 5 meetings. So they have covered 4 out of the last 5 times they've played Georgia. Georgia's first cover came last year. So before that, they had lost 4 straight against the spread. However, Georgia is 5-0 in those straight up against Kentucky over that time as well, because Kentucky has lost their last 14 in a row versus Georgia. It's one of those teams, just like the Gators,
Houston.
that, well, yeah, used to be. But, they just couldn't get by them, and then they did, right? So can Kentucky finally get by him here? No, no way. You mentioned Brock Vandagriff. He looked atrocious in the game last week. He actually got pulled in that one. Under 100 yards passing. I think only 3 completions. He just hasn't looked good. This is a kind of a spite game for him because he left Georgia to go to Kentucky. He used to be with the Bulldogs. I think Kirby Smart is going to try to make an example out of that. Don't go to a school in the SEC, and he's going to pound that offensive line into the dirt all day long. I think it's going to be. I like your pick with the under. I think that's a good pick, or the over. I'm sorry, but I think Georgia. I've bet against Georgia enough times now in a row where I'm just not doing it anymore. I don't care if it's 24. I don't care if it's 32. If Georgia's blowing Kentucky out in this one, so give me Georgia minus 24 here, Dave.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm with you there, Mike, for sure. So next game, this is one of those key games. What West Virginia at Pittsburgh. We got a name for this game, Mike?
Backyard brawl.
The backyard brawl, baby. So this one we got West Virginia at -2 at Pittsburgh, over under 60.5. So West Virginia's 1-1, Pitt's 2-0. West Virginia lost to Penn State in the first week, and Pitt's beaten Cincy and Kent State. West Virginia QB Garrett Green is 63%, 397 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. Their leading rusher is C.J. Donaldson, 167 yards, 2 TDs. He's averaging 6.4 yards a carry. Not too shabby. So Pitt has an Alabama transfer at quarterback, Eli Holstein. He's at 67%, a little bit better. He's thrown for 638 yards, 6 TDs, and 2 interceptions. So looking pretty decent. Their leading rusher is Desmond Reed at 293, averaging 8.9 yards per carry. Pitt's defense, however, is ranked 97th in the nation right now. Out of 133 teams, not too good. West Virginia, experienced offensive line. I think they're going to open up the holes for the running backs, especially Donaldson. So
I'm taking that slight edge, and I'm going to say West Virginia and the money line, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I just don't have faith in Pittsburgh right now. After last week, I mean, they should. We've talked about it earlier, in the part one show. This is now part two because we had those technical difficulties. But, we mentioned it in part one when we talked about the Cincinnati game. Cincinnati and Pitt played last week. Cincinnati was beating them all game long, taking their lunch money. Pitt ended up coming back and barely finding a way to win that game, kind of a miracle type game. I think that hurts them going into this one. They went from in that game, it was just a roller coaster of emotions. It was all bad, all bad, all bad, all bad. Oh, we won the game. You know what I'm saying? So like they had those adrenal glands were going crazy in that game, right? Now you asking that to happen again against West Virginia. Yep. It's a rivalry game. It's a big time deal. These are two teams that used to play every single year back in the Big East era. It was a massive, massive backyard brawl type of game. That's why they call it that, obviously. But they haven't played recently too much. So they've played since 2009. They've only played 5 times. Pitt is 1-4, straight up and against the spread in those 5 games. I think that continues here. I think this number is way too low. The interesting thing for me is this number was closer to like 4, I want to say, towards the opening line. And it's kind of come down towards in favor of Pitt. Like there's been some money going towards the Pitt side. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I have total faith in West Virginia's quarterback, Green. I think he's going to be able to make a statement in this one. Give me the Mountaineers. I'm with you here, Dave, to get right in this game.
All right. Cool. Awesome. All right. Let's go out to the West Coast in the state of Washington. We have a rivalry game already. We got Washington State at Washington. And I'm sure that this is the battle for something. Is it the
Apple Cup?
Apple? Yeah. There we go. The Apple Cup. So Washington State at Washington technically, but they're playing in Seattle. Washington lost a little bit of advantage there, I guess, but they're considered the home team. Washington favored here at 4.5, over under at 56. So both teams are 2-0. Washington has won their 2 preseason games against talent. Washington State, however, beat Texas Tech by 21. And we know this one's a rivalry game and no longer a conference game. It used to be with the old Pac-12. So now a non-conference game. So Washington State QB Mateer, not super accurate, 53%. He has thrown for 467 yards, 6 TDs, and an interception. He's also their leading rusher, Mike. 252 in 2 damn games. 11 yards a carry. I'm really anxious to see this guy, man. I mean, Holy hell. To throw for basically 230 yards a game and averaging 125 on the ground, that's interesting, dude. So I think this would be a cool game to watch. The Washington comes in. They got Will Rogers, the old Mississippi State quarterback. He's already thrown at 80%, 511 yards and 5 TDs. Their leading rusher at 231, averaging over 6 yards a carry. So a lot of offense. I haven't figured out why this one's 56 on the over-under after I start spitting out this offensive information. So Washington's got ex-Gator Jeff Fish, ex-Arizona coach. He's now the coach at Washington. He'll be on the short list for the Gators. Don't know if he'll make it, but he'll be one of those that we're thinking about. Washington State. Now, one key: Fish has beat Washington State the last 2 years when he was at Arizona. So just a little FYI, he's got their number. So that's kind of what pushed me a little bit. I don't think a lot of the Wazoo
defense. I think Washington defense a little bit better. I think both offenses look pretty good. So give me the Huskies to cover the 4.5 points, Mike. What do you think?
So I'm going to give you a couple statistics that are going to help you out with that pick, I think, Gator Dave. So the Huskies in this series during the Apple Cup, they have won the last 12 of 14 Apple Cups. 12 out of the last 14, Huskies have won. In the last 10 years, you mentioned this game is not being played at UW Stadium. It's being played at the Seahawks Stadium. So it's technically a neutral site, still in Seattle. So same city where UW is, but it is at the Seahawks Stadium, so technically neutral site. Washington State in the last 10 years is 1-7 against the spread in neutral site games. Doesn't matter, Dave, because of the guy that you mentioned at quarterback. Absolute stud dual threat. He's going to give Washington all sorts of problems, all sorts of fits. It's a rivalry game. You can throw out spreads. You can throw out records. You can throw out rosters. This is going to be a tight one. I think the spread indicates that with it only being around 4.5. Washington State is going to give Washington everything they want and then some. I think this one is probably going to be generally low scoring as well. Just because it's I don't know. It's hard. I'm not even going to get into the total. Give me Washington State. Give me the Cougars plus 4.5. I think they should cover that one pretty easily.
Yeah, so this one's got to be one of those games that's played at night, right? So hopefully on my drive back
I don't think so. I think it's at I think it's 3:30 Eastern, so local.
Oh
would be
my
like
God! So the
12:30.
same time as the Gators game. Damn it! I need
Yeah,
I
I think
need something to listen to on the way home on Saturday night because long drive back after getting
Yeah.
our ass kicked. All right, excuse me. All right. Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't want to give it a look ahead. All right, so next game, Mike. We got
4 games left, or 3 games. 3 games left.
We have 3. We have the Alabama Crimson Tide
Home stretch.
at Wisconsin. So Alabama favored by 16, over under 50.5. Both teams come in 2-0. Bama got challenged last week by South Florida till the fourth quarter. Then they took control after that. Wisconsin, interesting stat here, 0-2 against the spread so far this year. Bama's only 1-1 against the spread, not much better. Milrose at 67%, 399, 5 TDs, no interceptions. The Tide's leading rusher, you know what his name is, Mike? Jam Miller. Jam. We're probably going to be hearing that a lot. Jam Miller. He's got 194 yards in 2 games. Wisconsin's got your boy, TVD. He is throwing at 60%, 406 yards, 1 TD, no interceptions. Leading rushers, Ches Malusi. He's at 134 yards, 3 TDs. So interesting info. Bama, rough road game. But they're able to make it happen against USF in the fourth quarter. Again, Badgers being 0-2 already against the spread. Wisconsin's offense, not that great. I don't have a lot of confidence in your ex-quarterback that you guys jettisoned. So give me Bama to cover the 16 points, Mike, because I don't have a lot of confidence in TVD. What say you?
I don't either. It's short and sweet on this one. It's 100% who they're starting at quarterback for Wisconsin, and that's the difference for me. It's all Bama in this one. All Bama. Get them while you can. We mentioned this game last week that this was one that we were going to throw in for this week for sure. The line last week at that time, the line, and I think it was Sunday, was minus 9.5. It opened at 9.5, 8.5, somewhere in there, and it's gone all the way up. I've seen as high as 17.5. It's come down a little bit back to 16. Get it while you can. It's all Bama in this one. They're going to handle Wisconsin. You mentioned it, Tyler Van Dyke. Tyler Van Dyke has played Alabama before. Granted, it was a Nick Saban Alabama. But he has played Alabama before. It was not a pretty game. I was there. Your son Jared was there with me as well, and it was an ugly time
Oh,
to be a Hurricanes fan
God.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it doesn't matter. This game could be played on the planet Mars. It could be played in Wisconsin in Camp Randall. It could be played in Atlantis. It doesn't matter. It's Bama by 50. Don't know, don't overthink it. Bama, Bama, Bama. All right, moving on. Two games left here. We got
Moving
Notre Dame
on.
taking on Purdue here, Dave.
Notre Dame and Purdue. So the line changed on this one, and Gator Day changed his pick. So we'll see how this goes. So Notre Dame now favored by 10 only against Purdue. Obviously playing at Purdue. Notre Dame's 1-1. They had a win against A&M in the first game, a loss against Northern Illinois. Purdue beat Indiana State 49-0 for their first win already. Mike, I'll give you a trivia question.
Give it to me.
What famous athlete played a sport at Indiana State?
Larry Bird.
You're the man. I should have known that. You killed it, buddy. Thank you. Miami Mike knows his sports, even back in the golden days. All right. So Notre Dame Riley Leonard. He's at 61%, 321. Mike, he's not thrown a TD yet. He has not thrown a TD yet in 2 games. I mean,
No.
all these quarterbacks that we've talked about had at least one. He's had none, and he's got 2 interceptions. Leading rusher is Mr. Love at 179 and 2 TDs, averaging 6.8, not too shabby. Purdue comes in with Hudson Card. Mike, you know his he is 96% on his in the first game. 96%. 4 TDs. Their leading rusher is McCoby, 8.1 yards a carry. So Purdue kicking ass, baby. You know, they're gonna try to look like Northern Illinois. Boom, boom, boom. But I think it comes down to quarterback success rate. If Card has a decent game, then Purdue has a chance here. But I just don't think they got the firepower. And this thing got down to 10 points, so I got to go Notre Dame in the 10 points, Mike. What you think?
Wait. Hold on. So you're going who?
Notre Dame.
You're
Notre
going
Dame. Remember, I had Purdue at first. It changed to the points changed, so I had to go to Notre Dame. I'm sorry.
You had Notre Dame at first, and you changed to Purdue. So now are you going Notre Dame?
I thought I had Purdue, Mike. Holy moly!
He's all over the place, folks.
Mike. I thought I had Purdue.
So you do have Purdue.
I had Purdue at plus 10, and then it changed. So I went back. I went to Notre Dame. So I got Notre Dame, Mike. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Sorry to mess up your stuff.
Well, it doesn't
there,
matter, Dave, because it's going to be a loss. It's going to be a loss because it's going to be Purdue. It's going to be Purdue. One thing about Purdue is they could be 2-10 on the year, but if they play a top 10 Big Ten team at home, Purdue's going to give them all they got. Now, granted, Notre Dame's not Big Ten. I understand that. I get it. Also, this one doesn't help. Purdue has lost their last 8 in this series between Purdue and Notre Dame. However, in those 8 games, Gator Dave, Purdue is 4-4 against the spread. They give Notre Dame everything they can handle. Notre Dame is down bad right now after losing to Northern Illinois.
They
Not
are.
only have they
They're down.
lost to Northern Illinois under Marcus Freeman, they lost to Stanford under Marcus Freeman. They lost to Marshall under Marcus Freeman. They've played atrocious games against Navy, amongst others, under Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman is not the guy for the Fighting Irish. He's just not. It was a bad hire. It was a lazy hire, hiring the DC after Kelly left. They're paying for it. Unfortunately, it's going to be a rough year, I think, for the Irish, which is really sad because, you look at the season that they could have had after they beat Texas A&M. They have a cupcake of a schedule. That's all anybody talked about was, yep, Notre Dame's about to run the table. Their one last test is going to be at the end of the year against USC Trojans. If they get by them, easy playoff bound. Notre Dame's got it. They only had 2 tough tests all year. And then literally last week, the next week after that A&M game, stumbled to Northern Illinois at home. Paid them $1.5 million to come kick their ass in their home stadium and embarrass them. I watched that game. It was embarrassing to say the least. I mean, Northern Illinois manhandled them. You would have thought that they had the blue chippers on their roster. It was not good. I think Purdue is going to be able to see something in that. I think they're going to be fired up because they know now in their heads that they can beat this Notre Dame team too. You take away that mystique of that gold helmet, that top 25 ranking, all those blue chippers, those 5-star transfers, 4-star transfers, everything else, it's gone out the window when, the lights come on, the pads get put on. So give me the Boilermakers to get it done at home. I think this is another one that is a potential outright win for the underdog. So, we're looking at Purdue, Memphis, and Old Dominion so far that could be pretty beefy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Dave.
Could be that.
All right.
Be that.
Moving on here, sir. Final game of the day.
Final game. So Gator Dave's driving down. He's driving down on Friday night to attend the game at 3:30 in the Swamp. Texas A&M coming in to visit my Florida Gators. A&M, Mike, are they at 3.5 or 4.5? Shit.
It's a 3.5.
3.5. So they're at 3.5. Texas A&M's favorite at 3.5, folks. The over/under is 46.5. So here's what we got. Both teams 1-1. A&M lost to that great Notre Dame team that Mike just told you all the good stuff about. The Gators have lost to Miami Mike's team in the ass whooping in week number 1. Connor Wegman comes in at 52% pass rate, 225 yards in 2 games, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Their leading rusher is Le'Veon Moss, 154 yards and 3 TDs, which isn't too bad. So when I originally did the homework, my hope was that, that DJ Lagway would see some time. So we're gonna talk about his stats just for the fun of it. Lagway last week against a crappy team in Sanford. He was 68% in his first start as a freshman, 287 yards, 3 TDs, and an interception. Not too bad. He can throw the ball down the field, folks. He's the real deal. If we can keep him through the termination of our coach, we're going to be in decent shape next year. Leading rusher right now, Montrell Johnson at 173 yards. He's going at 6.7 yards per carry and 3 TDs. Funny thing, after hearing all those great stats about DJ Lagway, Sling Blade is starting Graham Mertz. So don't expect a lot of offense out of my Gators in the first quarter.
That's ridiculous.
Hopefully Sling Blade will figure it out and put DJ in after an inept Mertz doesn't make it happen. Now, if Mertz by some odd reason kicks ass, then let's roll. But I'm not sure that can happen with a decent Texas A&M defense. But I think DJ. I think Mertz will be down early, 10 points after the first quarter before we had to see DJ. The Aggies, a lot of talent, decent coaching. Biggest issue here is going to be Florida's not going to be able to stop A&M. Our defense hadn't shown me anything yet. I mean, they sputtered against the Sanford team, so I'm not convinced they've got a defense. Again, my number one concern of the year was Florida's O-line. It's still a concern, a big concern. And, I hate to call a Gator Dave lock on his own team, but 3.5 points, give me Texas A&M and a Gator Dave lock, Mike, as much as I hate to admit it, sir. Before you get into yours, let me give you an even stupider information. So at the beginning of each game, the Florida team has what they designate a person to be Mr. Two Bits, and it's this silly chant at the beginning of the game that they do. Well, they had this guy that was there for 40 years that did this chant, 2 bits, 4 bits from the 50s or whatever. But since he passed away about 15 years ago, they have a designated Mr. or Mrs. Two Bits that comes out and do this cheer at the beginning of the game to get the team fired up. Okay? Are you with me? With me? So
I'm with you. Sounds culty.
This week, Mike, we have one of the best players that ever played at the University of Florida is Mr. Two Bits. We've got Emmitt Smith, Mike. Emmitt Smith is Mr. Two Bits. But the irony and the stupidity of my team is his son is the running back for Texas A&M. What the beep? I'll turn it over to you, Mike.
Well, yeah, that's why they picked him. They knew he'd be there. They were like, shoot, you might as well hop on the field here, buddy. Yeah, is he going to be wearing Gator stuff? He's going to be wearing Texas
A&M? He'll probably have the A&M shit on. He'll probably have the A&M stuff on.
That's crazy. So last week on the show, I said that I was going to take the Gators in this one. I was taking the Gators, +4 all day long. I think that they're going to win at home against the Swamp. That was when I thought DJ Lagway was going to be the quarterback, Dave. You're telling me, listen to these stats, okay? How does a competent head coach make this decision? All right? In the game against Miami, before Graham Mertz got knocked out, he was 11 for 20 for 90 yards. And I'm not really in an interception. He was sacked 3 times. And I'm not even necessarily sure he was really hurt, because in that game he was just getting rocked and he couldn't do anything. DJ Lagway comes in the game. It was a little late in the game, so he didn't really have a chance to. I witnessed it in person. That dude has skills that kill. All right, absolute stud. He went 3 for 6, 30 yards, and threw an interception. Ran the ball 4 times for 20 yards. The interception really wasn't his fault. It was tipped. And the guy that caught it literally was laying down on the ground, and it landed right in his chest. Like, it was a fluke type of thing. It really shouldn't have counted towards an interception towards his stats, but it did. You look at him last week. Mertz did not play against Sanford. 18 for 25 for 456 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, wasn't sacked a single time. Also, he wasn't sacked a single time in that Miami game. He ran the ball 5 times for 16 yards, and they're benching him for Mertz. That is nuts.
487, Mike. That record at the University of Florida for a freshman. Sling Blade is nuts. You're right. You're absolutely right.
You mentioned Florida's defense sputtered a little bit against Sanford. No, they did not. They won 45-7. They held Sanford under 200 total yards. There is no sputtering. That's not a sputter. All right? But the problem is you have a Florida team that, last week, now they saw what Lagway can do. and they're, oh yeah, we won, we dominated, we look good, right? When they go into this game against Texas A&M, if they struggle a little bit, immediately that finger's being pointed at Mertz. Immediately. And that energy is going to be completely off because the
And who's
team
booing?
is going to be
Gator
divided.
booing that.
The team is going to be divided because they're not going to know which side they should support in that QB room. So now Billy Napier, with him trying to get Lagway some touches, trying to keep him happy, trying to keep the fan base happy, he is causing potential controversy in his locker room by going back to Mertz in this scenario. If Mertz struggles and he doesn't make that decision to pull him early and put Lagway in the game, I'm talking second quarter, it could get bad, and it could get bad quick, and this could be the snowball effect roll for the rest of the year where it all kind of trickles downhill from here after this. So it's a big, big game in terms of Florida's remaining season, Florida's momentum, Florida's recruiting moving forward. I mean, this is a massive, massive game. I'm going to stick to my guns and say that Florida is going to cover this game in the Swamp. They're going to get the cover. I think they have the potential to get the win, but Billy Napier is going to have to make that tough decision of benching his 18th year senior in Graham Mertz and going with his young stud DJ Lagway and handing him the keys to the Ferrari and saying, my job and my career is in this 18-year-old's hands. If he doesn't do that and he tries to keep it in his Bayou Billy pockets, it's over with. Send his ass back to Louisiana. It's a wrap.
And
give me
it's
the
a wrap.
Gators.
Let me go from that wrap. It's a wrap if that happens, what you just said, and he doesn't make the change. Mertz is sucking. He doesn't make the changes fast enough. He's going to get his ass booed. Mark my words. That son of a sling blade will be fired next week. He will be fired next week.
I don't know about that.
Fire him next week. He
should be. He should have been fired last year, but you wanted him back. Look at you now.
2 years. I mean, give him time. Give him time. But I'm telling you, if this happens and we get whooped and he doesn't put Lagway in quick enough, then his ass is fired, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I am with this. I'm just you look at this kid. I watched the film, Mike. I took some extra time, watched the film. This kid's for real. I'm telling you, he can drop a dime, and it's unbelievable. And we've got decent receivers, out there that can make it happen. They were all open, and he was hitting it. So we'll see. We'll see how this thing goes, because like you said, this is going to be the most pivotal game yet of the year, because a lot's going to happen from this one way or another, for sure. No doubt in my mind. Mike, one thing that we didn't talk about before we got on the show was a look ahead at some games, that have some lines for next week. And I thought I'd just throw some at you and just to get your antennas up. And there's 5 there's not that many that are out there, but you got Illinois at Nebraska at -8. You got Arkansas at Auburn at -3. And of course, this is right now before the games even start this week. You got North Carolina at Clemson at -7. You got USC at Michigan, USC at -2.5. And you got Tennessee -3 at Oklahoma. So some pretty dang cool games with some low. Now, granted, those spreads could just jump all over the place depending on what happens.
Well, yeah, look at that Alabama spread.
Yeah. So and some of them are wonky. So some cool games that I think we could jump on. Can't say we guarantee right now, but those are some pretty cool games coming in next week. And now we're getting away
from those freaking Patsy games, and now it's big boy football now, right? So
you got it.
what you got there, Mike? What you
Recap's
got?
up on the screen. It's been up on there, so you guys could check that out. Any of those games that we didn't talk about in this part 2 video, so those first 5, I think it is, definitely bounce back to part 1 before we lost connection and had to restart and come back in as this part 2 stream. It was a good show. Decent week last week for some, not so great for others. So we're looking for a more consistent week all around on both sides here on this week. We had there were some heartbreakers on that last week. Iowa destroyed me. Maryland ripped my heart out. It was tight. So hopefully we can get some momentum rolling in this week.
Absolutely. And we appreciate everyone for being on tonight. You know, we got Hindu jumped on, Scott jumped on, Ian, congratulations, my friend, on number 3 with your beautiful daughter there. We're really proud of you and your lovely wife. Congratulations there. But appreciate the second crew that got on here, Linda, as well. So thanks so much for being on, and we appreciate all the support. Please remember to like, subscribe, follow, all that cool stuff. Put comments in the chat. Let us know how we're doing. We're loving things and looking forward to seeing all my friends, all my rowdy friends down in the swamp to see what we can do with Texas A&M. Miami Mike's got my team winning, so I'm excited about that. But I think it's going to take our coach to humble his ass and put the real deal and DJ Lagway in, or we're not going to stand a chance. So appreciate everyone being on, and I will say, go Gators.
Go Canes, baby. Top 10, first time since 2020. Undefeated. Ball State, you got nothing. You got nothing.
Ball State, go, baby.
Get out of here, Ball State. Get out of here. All right, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you.